Lemon tree, very pretty.
But the
Lemon
taste
flower
is,
is sweet,
yeah,
but
but
the
the
fruit of the poor lemon is impossible to
to
eat.
eat. It's before your time, Jordan.
What is it?
It's an old Peter, Paul, and Mary song called Lemon
Uh,
Tree. Look it up. Read a book.
I will.
Educate yourself, Jordan.
We need to release the BeerNet Radio album, Greatest Hits. We do a lot of intermittent singing on this pod.
For better or
Un-
worse.
I was going to say unwelcome singing.
Oh, I wouldn't call it unwelcome, Jen, especially when you sing.
Oh, gosh. That's the nicest thing you've ever said to me, Harry.
That's pretty sad if that is the nicest thing.
No, that's not the nicest thing. It's up there, top 10.
Let's see what's happened this week. I guess I should start by saying that some of our subscribers, I don't think, understand what run rate means. And that they don't understand that when I say that AB is almost at the same run rate as before the Mulvaney event, I don't mean that they're at the same place by any means. They've lost 5 share points. We all know that. But their trend is running at a -9 run rate, which was what the same run rate it was when it was at a higher share a year and a half ago. So I just wanted to clear that up in case anybody, that's why I said, albeit at a lower share.
Mm.
We got a couple of comments. What are you talking about? Oh my God, you're in the pocket of AB. I wish you could tell AB that.
Yeah.
Because they
Yeah.
do not think we're in their pocket at all. So
You're out of pockets.
they're out of pockets. I'm not saying AB's doing anything great. It still sucks. But, but Michelob Ultra is one of it's not the fastest, the top 2 fastest growing brand. Busch Light kicking ass. So I think if you wanted to call a victory for AB, is that they've solved their non-Bud Light problems for the most part. And they're still struggling with AB, but hey, that's why the article was called Reversal of Fortunes, because we're seeing almost an exact inverse of the trends as we saw this time last year. That's what reversal means.
Yeah.
I hate to, mansplain this to other men mostly that don't understand this. So
the comp giveth and the comp taketh away.
Thank you, Jen. That was a beautiful way of putting it. Should have said that in the article. The comp giveth and the comp taketh away. Now, 2-year stack, yeah, AB sucks. Still. Bud Light, still. But, everybody's sucking right now. So, and welcome everybody to BeerNet Radio. I'm your host, Harry Schuhmacher. I'm here with editors Jen Litzkirk and Jordan Driggers. We're going to do a little Wednesday warehouse action here before our guests come on from BeatBox.
Yeah, I got a quickie headline before. I know Jay did scans. We have a few things to talk about, but going off of, you mentioned Busch Light, we were a little surprised this week to intercept a memo to Molson Coors Great Lakes region wholesalers that they're bringing back Miller High Life Light. Now, y'all may remember that this is one of the SKUs that was DQ'd a handful of years ago, one of the economy SKUs that was DQ'd for efficiencies and this sort of thing, but they're bringing it back. I think it's going to hit in September. And basically it's because they're trying to use it as a Busch Light fighter in the area, right? I think the MC TV video said it will be introducing Highlight Life gives MC, quote, one more arrow in the quiver to fight AB's big economy brand. It looks like Molson Coors share of economy is a little more than half the size of Busch Light in the Great Lakes, which is kind of surprising. But I think it's unfair kind of to call Busch Light an economy brand. Like it's kind of, it does double duty, right? Because it has these flavors. That's usually the purview of premium brands. So it kind of does double duty. And I think it's in a pretty decent position. But anyway, that was pretty interesting to us.
Good point. First, I want to say that you worked in double duty twice into that sentence. And I like that.
Did I?
If one duty is good, 2 duties are even better. And High Life Light. High Life is a big player in the Midwest and the Great Lakes. High Life Light. Let me tell you something. I don't think I've told you this before. That Miller High Life Light was my go-to brand when I first entered the beer industry back in 1992.
Wow.
Did y'all know that?
Did not.
I worked for a Miller distributor, so that made sense. But I would grab a High Life Light tall boy out of the fridge and drink it on my drive home every day.
Oh my God, Harry, edit that.
It was legal. It was legal to drink and drive at the time. I only had
Seriously?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was legal to have an open container. And then they nipped that one in the bud at around say 2000.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say when I would have guessed like the 90s, but that's brinky.
Yeah, there's a big fight going on right now online about Gen Y against Gen X. And basically it's just like, hey, guys, you don't want to fuck with us. We're feral. We were raised different.
We're feral.
Are you counting yourself as Gen Y or Gen X in there?
Well, I'm Gen Y in the brain, but I'm Gen X in my body.
Gen X, he's a boomer in the body.
Yeah,
just kidding.
I was talking to Wyatt about it, and he was like, "Wait, what's Gen X?" I was like, "See, nobody even remembers that we're an actual generation. Like, it's all
we're the generation that did grunge. Remember, we tried to make everybody think that killing yourselves was cool. That's us,
and we almost succeeded. If it hadn't been for
hey, so you guys have your own little pod now.
Yeah,
that's cute. Yeah, it's super cute. I love it.
Yeah, Wyatt. That's Wyatt's pod. It's not mine.
Okay, sorry.
He comes up with the content, the questions. I just am the talent. I just show up.
Now I want to tune in.
And yeah, it's called Dog Party. So Jordan, give it a look. It's still finding its legs.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a candid father-son funny conversations. Like, who wouldn't like that? And it's not lame. So
oh, thanks, Jim.
Yeah,
that's the best compliment you've given me ever.
Well, no.
It's not lame.
That wasn't passing anything on you. It's just like, if I were to hear, oh, this is a father-son podcast,
right,
my first impression would be, why would I want to listen to that?
No, the whole concept seems lame. Like there's even an SNL skit about it, like father son. This is how we communicate. But
it seems like beer might be on the cusp of a comeback. They've been pretty rough. Categories scans have been pretty awful in late spring, and now they're kind of putting things together. And I don't think it really belongs to any one sole player. I mean, Constellation's back doing Constellation things, and Modelo's still growing like crazy. But I feel like it's an improvement, just kind of a broad improvement across the entire category. Bud is, back to about 3%. Molson Coors Light, Miller Lite are down around 3%. So they're improving. I think for Molson Coors, it's funny because, in the back of their portfolio, some of their higher end brands is where they're not really seeing any growth. Topo Chico's down big. Simply Spiked is back down big. So if they can just kind of maybe level out Miller Lite and Coors Light, that's one piece of the puzzle. It's what's behind them, I think, is gonna give them some trouble this year. I don't know what else is going on in the scans.
Well, what about Leinenkugels? You haven't said anything about Leinenkugels. Well, I mean, there's a hole in your data right there, Jordan.
Well, Leinenkugels, I mean, it's summertime, so they always get a boost from Shandy.
Yeah.
Blue Moon is improving a little bit, but still down big. So there's other things for Molson Coors to worry about besides just the difficult comps. They've got Coors Banquet. That's the lead horse.
What about Peroni?
Peroni's not doing so hot.
Not yet. They're bringing it stateside. The production stateside. We reported like a month ago.
That's going to help demand.
Well, it's going to help supply, which in turn should help demand.
Yeah, that's true.
Especially on draft. We did a big Mark Anthony report last week, and just trying to, they're right sizing their seltzer, or the seltzer industry is right sizing. There were like 40% less SKUs at the end of last year, and White Claw is like starting to almost get back to growth. Surge is interesting. That's the higher 8% ABV offering. That's like 7.5 million cases now and up double digits. It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
The interesting thing, obviously, everybody wants to know about Moss Plus and the whole messy thing. They did go with the Mark Anthony network in South Florida. They're still evaluating elsewhere, but it was also interesting that that is getting, and I mean, not surprising, but interesting that that's getting a dedicated sales and marketing organization. And I asked David Barnett about M&A. You know, he talks about they want to be a top 20 beverage co globally. And so first, you know, they're trying to get their core US RTD business consistently growing, but they're also, you know, working on obviously Moss Plus and high proof, which I guess means spirits. But then he said they're starting to discuss what else they need to do to ensure they continue to be a growth engine. And that could include partnerships and M&A. So we'll see. I mean, just because we have been covering M&A rumors so much, like the Boston stuff, I don't know if we've discussed that on the pod or not. But again, yeah, it's like 3 weeks old at this point. But just wanted to plug that in.
Yeah. Mark Anthony is, you know, famous for splitting the baby in the past. In other words, putting White Claw in a different distributor set as Mike's Lemonade.
Right.
And they've gotten a lot of flack for that. And so I'm very curious if they're going to do that again. Go, you know, with different distributors. I think maybe it's just a point of leverage to say that they're looking elsewhere so that their current distributors will make the investment behind the brand that they want.
Yeah.
We've got Justin Fenchel, we've got Aimy Steadman, we've got Brad Schultz. I knew that. It's all here, co-founders of BeatBox Beverages. We've been following you guys since the very beginning. It's been a wild, wild ride. It's been very, I'd say, gratifying and cool to see how you've progressed and through many iterations, trying, you know, bag in a box. You've tried so many different things, and you've kind of settled on the Tetra Pak. Jen and I had the opportunity to kind of sit in a little bit on one of your, I don't know, it's like an executive wholesaler panel type meeting, and the enthusiasm that your wholesalers had for your product was amazing. Especially there was one guy that's like, hey, if we don't have any 5-case racks, just put 2 next to each other. That's a 10-case rack, you know, and you know, just a lot of enthusiasm. So thank you guys for being on BeerNet Radio again. And we just thought we got Jen and Jordan here to ask some questions and to see how you guys are going.
Awesome. Always happy to be here with all of you. I can't believe that we saw you last at the Beer Business Summit in January, which was freaking 6 months ago already. We're already at 2 here.
Yeah. And we're gearing up for next year too. So January 12th at the Breakers. And I talked to Jessica yesterday. We've already got quite a few people signed up. We're ahead of previous years. So
amazing.
Awesome.
Well, I have a question, obviously, as always, for you guys. It's easy to interview y'all right now because y'all are doing fantastic. I think you finished last year at like 5 million cases, maybe like 100 million revenues. And when we sat in on that meeting earlier this year, I think your depletions were up like 140%. But I'm curious, like, so as Harry mentioned, we have been there since the beginning, right? And it's the whole like 10-year overnight success story, right? And I just wonder, like, do you guys feel like 2023 was the year that you kind of arrived as like this big Bev Alc brand that people know and want, or did it happen before then? I mean, how are you thinking about it in terms of that?
I don't think it's happened yet, has it?
Okay.
Like,
you're being too modest, dude.
No,
we still, you know, we still think of us as in the very early innings here of where this brand can go. It was a huge milestone, right? I think there's like this psychological, you know, this moment of hitting 100 million, right? It's like it was incredibly cool, and we were super proud of it. But then when you look and dive into, you know, where our distribution is, how many flavors we have, and the runway we have in some of the biggest channels, you know, in the business, we were like, we're just getting going. And then when you know, now that we've grown up to a level where we can afford to actually buy some data, which is, you know, a lot of power in that, you know, we look at we were just looking at our household penetration in the last 52 weeks, and we're at 3.9%. So that, there are still, if you go down the street and we're in the industry and right, we live it every day, and you think everyone knows about what you got going on, but when you get in the real world, we are still, very underrepresented relative to the demand that we believe is out there. So, we think there isn't one singular moment where we're like, hell, we've all of a sudden made it. I mean, we're just enjoying the ride and think that we have a long way to go.
Cool.
When you say, household penetration at 3%, which is, very low, you have a lot of run room, obviously. How does that correlate? What do your distribution numbers look like?
Yeah, we've grown accounts significantly. We're as we look through end of Q2, our accounts are up 60% year over year. So we've crossed 100,000 off-premise accounts that are buying BeatBox in like a 90-day window, which was awesome. So that's one thing that's grown, but velocities continue to grow, right? So depletions are up 110% through Q2 off of really large numbers. And that is driven by rate of sale, just is up another 30%, for the first part of the year, as more people come into the brand and as we get more flavors into more stores. And so we're averaging now just shy of 5 flavors across, those 100,000-ish off-premise accounts. And so that's really been the name of the game, right? We know that when we go from 3 SKUs per account to 6, we see a 5 times lift in total rate of sale. Customers want different flavors. They want to try different things. You need that kind of billboard effect, especially as a new brand and a new package type that is, has been around. Tetra Pak wine was around, but getting people comfortable with drinking out of Tetra Paks, that could be a really cool way to do it. It's resealable. It captures the flavor in well. It's eco-friendly. That is still, it's still in the early innings of people like getting comfortable with that. So, it's been a combination of a lot of those things.
I do think there was, you talk about like, when do you realize things are changing or what are some signs? I think a big one for so long, it was always, and an advisor told us, it's like when outbound turns into inbound, meaning every store we had to go get, we had to build, we had to beg, borrow, whatever we had to do to get into that account. And truly around 12 months ago, there's been a shift where retailers are coming to us. I think they're reading what you guys are putting out. They're finally year over year realizing, hey, this is not a flash in the pan. And so we're getting retailers coming to us saying, hey, what can we do? We missed it a little bit. We were late, but let's go. And so that's a really great feeling, let me tell you.
Yeah. I'm curious, you guys are one of the top growing wine brands, right? You're like versus Absolute Dollars a year ago, and Circana, you're like one of the top fastest growing wine brands, which is funny because your consumers don't really see you as a wine brand, do they? I would think you transcend alcohol base, right? Or what is your data telling you about that?
Yeah, no, they don't care what the base is. They care that it tastes great, that it's priced right, and it's convenient for what their occasion is, whether that's buying the single for, relaxing at home or a variety pack for going to a friend's party. And what's funny is when you look at like Circana, for example, right? And we're up, 120, 130%, depends on the week. It doesn't even count our malt base, which has been growing dramatically. So we created a malt version, which tastes identical to the wine version. We found really, really good quality malt. We weren't going to put out anything that didn't taste as good as the wine, but the flexibility of the formula, which Aimy can go into on a much deeper level, but the ability to do that allows us to be in all the bodegas in New York, right? And the network has gone behind that. In Pennsylvania as well. Now we're selling malt in New Hampshire, in Tennessee, in Mississippi, and even in Oklahoma in certain spots. So the malt business is a big business for us. And it's not, when people pull our numbers, they don't add them together. And when you add them together, it's more like 145, 150% growth. So it's funny, but I think that kind of answers your question, that the consumer doesn't, it's all on fire. They care that, like I said at the beginning, that it tastes great, it's priced right, and it's convenient for the occasion they're looking for.
Yeah, the only reason they might care is if they have like celiac disease or something, and that's when labeling becomes important for the distinction between the wine and the malt. But other than that, if it tastes like blue raspberry, if it tastes like cherry limeade, we are good to go.
Yeah. Aimy, how new is that malt formulation? Is that relatively newer? Or?
It is newer. It's been about a couple of years now that we've been working on it, but just kind of commercially launching at a large scale over the past year.
Okay. Interesting.
I mean, it's Bill Goldring figured that out too with Fireball, that he could just be in so many more accounts if he makes it malt based. And I've had it. You can't tell.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that one is a little bit unique. It's different though, because that was, you go from a spirit at a very high proof to a malt at a much lower proof.
right.
So sometimes that can cause some issues, but with
Yeah,
us,
I think there's like, isn't
They
there a
got a
class action lawsuit?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
you can't really do.
Believe so.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have a class action lawsuit against you, you're not out there
You're
doing
not
your
trying.
job. You're not trying hard enough.
Well, one more for me, and then I'll stop bogarting. I know you guys are doing really good in California. Like, y'all are up like 300%. How much of that is the AB1 network versus other factors? And are you expecting to see that sort of trend in other markets?
Yeah, I mean, California continues to be a cornerstone. I mean, the beauty though is that even California, no state is more than 15, percent, 20%. It's working really across the country. But California last year cracked 1 million cases, was the first state to do that. We did about 1.2 million cases in California, and we were like, okay, we've got really, really strong distribution, especially in Southern California. Northern California was later to launch. And the question was like, can California, can it grow at those rates we were accustomed to? Can we double the business in California again? And we are, so far year to date, California is up over 100% again. We're on track to deliver well over 2 million cases. So it shows that even in a market where you have what you would call more full BeatBox distribution, which, I don't think anywhere is there yet. We were still able to achieve much higher growth rates than we thought. And I think it's just more consumers coming into the brand and more people realizing, holy crap, this stuff's really good and serves a purpose that I'm looking for. And so yeah, California continues to be a great state. Texas, our longest standing state, has been a really strong market for us this year. Up close to 200% in Texas so far year to date. So.
Wow.
That's why we say, when we say we're only in the early innings, it's like you see what these states can do. And, like Justin said, the rate of sale per account it's not that it's significantly bigger in California. It's that we're in the big amount of accounts with a lot of SKUs per account. So it shows the rest of the map what's possible. Even at our best is still growing at insane clips. So it's really exciting.
Which of course we have to thank our wholesale partners for helping us make that happen.
The AB1 network all the way up to every, AB independent, we're 100% AB in California. They've just been nothing short of outstanding. And
just as entrepreneurs, you guys have seen how long we've been working at this. It's so awesome to have people finally get it and embrace it and make some good money with it and just say, okay, like, you get it now. We can do this together. It's awesome.
When you first opened with California with AB1, in the old days, we call that a branch. And some people call them, what do they call them? WODs?
Yeah. WODs.
Yeah, the WOD network.
Yeah, the WOD.
Yeah.
And, it seemed like from the outside looking in that could have been a risk, because the AB branches were notorious for not really giving a lot of attention to outside companion brands. And yet it sounds like they've done a really good job in the markets that they're in. And does that surprise you, or were you worried about that at all?
Yeah, I think if you go way back, our first iteration of the BeatBox model was launching with Wine and Spirits Network. So our very first distributor in California was Young's Market with the big box, now RNDC, and then we moved up to the Reyes network, and then eventually landed at AB1. I think what we found within the AB system is that we are allies in this kind of fight against this new world of beyond beer, call it FMB or hard seltzer RTD, where they have great brands and we can complement those brands to build out that kind of door that traditionally might have been a wine door in the C-store world or large format world. And so I think it's been really rewarding, and that's the key, right? You have to have a wholesaler network that's excited and engaged. And so really letting them know we're not taking away. We don't want you to take out your other brands, right? We're different. Put us in, and we will complement you and kind of be that golden case. And that really was the turning point, I think, back, to quote Wayne Gretzky, right? I think we skated to where the puck was going about a decade too early. In our mid-20s, seeing this movement, this is now a long time ago, 15 years ago, seeing this movement away from beer towards these wines and spirits and malt alternatives. And then about 6-7 years ago, the Beer Network really realizing, hey, this could be a nice additional revenue driver for us. And we were very early in that. And as we've been able to just build that story, if you don't win over your wholesaler network with good rate of sale, good margins, and easy distribution, then you're just not going to get on enough retail shelves to make a huge impact. And I think that was the key thing for us, is just saying, hey, look, we're here to help. We're not here to fight and make you pull off a tap handle, make you pull out another, 6-pack or 12-pack. It's like, we just want to be complimentary to you.
We're a high margin, high velocity, long shelf life, so many things that are kind of key for those distributors, but consumers are out there looking for it too. So it's a perfect combination of factors for them.
That's a great point. Long shelf life, especially. I mean, you nailed it on the head there. It's incremental because, like you said, you're usually in the wine door. The beer guys don't play at all. And also you're a lot of times, at least I've seen observationally, at the point of purchase, right there at a rack as an impulse buy where, you can play with beer in cold singles, but it's a lot more work. I could see that incrementality being very attractive to even AB1, because it's really not competing with anything they have. Which brings me to my next question. I mean, it is a hole in their portfolio. Is this a prelude to a strategic exit? Is maybe the natural buyer? Can I go there?
I know we always get asked that question. I mean, I think when myself, Brad, and Amy, we're having a lot of fun. And as we said at the beginning, we are in the early innings here, and we can get into all the things we have coming, that really confirm that. But we have an amazing team, an amazing culture, and we are having a ton of fun, and we still think we're just getting going. And so for us, we are happy to be really strong partners of AB. There's nothing imminent or any prelude that we're doing anything with AB, though.
Good answer. I like that. Hold out for the big money. It's too early. That's your advisor. It's your unofficial advisor.
He'll send you a bill.
I think we have big dreams,
Yeah. I think if you would have talked to us, the first time you talked to us, it was like, please, somebody at some point buy us. Like, we would beg. And that was the goal. I think when we got that check from Mark, and it was like, okay, 2 years, we'll ride off to the sunset. The fact that we're still here, eclipsing 100,000 accounts that we've earned to get into ourselves, like, it just like Justin said, it's actually the fun. It's getting easier in some regards, like still really, really hard and challenging, but it feels like the boulder's kind of going downhill. And so,
yeah, this is the fun part. Yeah. You don't want to exit now. You're having too much fun.
Exactly.
You look at the legends of the industry, whether it's Jim Cook or Anthony Von Mandel, and you say, okay, why can't that be us 10 years from now? Like, kind of you ask yourself internally, like, okay, if we sold the company, what will we do? Right. And there's lots of things you could figure out and do, but we really could see ourselves running this thing as the next generation, big brand in beverage alcohol, doing things our way, the BeatBox way, which, being a B Corp, being plastic neutral, carbon neutral, women founded, and having a lot of fun, bringing fun back to the industry. It's something that we are very proud of and think we can continue to do. So we're not ready to sell yet.
We're just very much a next generation company through and through. And I think that's something that's worth standing on its own in the industry.
And if you sell it, there's a good chance they'll F it up. Like, to your point, right? Like,
not a good
it
chance.
happens.
100% chance.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. There's risk in anything you do. There's risk in selling it. There's risk in not selling it. So
yeah.
Kind of going back to what Harry was saying with placement at retail. Do you have a rough idea or estimate of the percentage of BeatBox sales that come from the floor or warm shelf versus the cooler? I feel like, at least in convenience, I always see your brand on display on the floor near checkout.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely drive displays, right? Incremental displays that take up a sheet of paper and convenience that can drive hundreds of dollars of revenue and lots of gross profit for the retailer. We do find that when we do get cold, though, the velocity increases nearly 3 times. So the ultimate goal is to move our product from warm to cold. And we've talked about it with y'all many times, but I think it's less so of an issue in convenience because there is usually that extra door that if you go into those stores now, they're basically flavor RTD doors that we are taking meaningful share of that used to be cold wines and champagnes and Tetra Pak traditional wine. And now that door is becoming much more of an RTD door. And we have a lot of thoughts around how we can lead in flavors and the way that we think beverage alcohol is going. Customers want to try different flavors. It's not necessarily I want a spirit or a wine or a beer. It's I want to try all these different flavors. If you look at like what energy drinks have done. So ultimately the goal is to get cold. Now that is a challenge when you are considered a wine base with these large format grocery chains that are slowly shifting to thinking of things as beer, away from beer, wine, spirits to this needs to be cold because no one is shopping the warm wine aisle for blue raspberry party punch. And so that's really the key in long term. And like that's why when you look at our velocities today, I don't think it's fair to say that is where velocities will be 2 to 3 years from now. Because when you have 3 flavors in a grocery store in the warm wine section, and you're still a top selling product, and you know that when you have 6 flavors in the cold section, and you have variety packs in the cold section, that it's going to explode. And so we think we're just getting started. If you took the velocities of some of our top performing, where you have 7, 8, 9 flavors cold, both in grocery and liquor and convenience, you're talking about 2 to 3 times the velocities of what we see today. So, you know, the math gets really interesting really quickly. So that's kind of the North Star for us.
Yeah, the winning formula right now in terms of like a base level is this full shelf cold and a shipper. So you get both, right? You get the destination shopper who's going to that cold section, wants it to drink it within the hour. And then you also get that impulse purchaser, that person that wasn't going to that exact section. And so that's what we've been preaching as kind of, here's your base level of BeatBox standard. With the new innovations coming out, we're going to add to that. But yeah, it's trying to keep it super simple.
Yeah. Do you have any pause of buzzballs possibly going through beer distributors after the Sazerac deal? Do you feel like they could maybe encroach on this formula, this recipe you've created?
You know, I think it's super interesting. I think there's a fork in the road right now. And you look at what Sazerac did with Buzzballs, which I think was, some people were confused by it. I'm like, that makes total sense. You're building out a beer network. You've got Fireball Malt, which was growing, but kind of like they needed another juice in that machine. You see Gallo making moves, right? They've got their beer network that they're building out. And I think and we preach this as much as we can to our wholesalers, like, because a lot of them aren't really fully realizing how fast this world is shifting into this wine and spirits massive network that is like, we're going beer, and that's what's happening. And that's on us to just keep pushing. Like, we can control what we can control, which is get more distribution, build our building block in the store, keep pounding the retailers with data that some of these brands that are entering the space are just not selling anywhere close to how we're selling. At the end of the day, dollars off the retail shelves will win, but it is a huge monumental shift that is happening in the industry right now. And I think the beer networks need to be aware of it, because it's not going to slow down.
One more for me, and I'm not trying to jinx you here, but you know, given the amount of like copycatting in the industry and your strong and consistent growth over the years, are you surprised with the amount of people that have tried to bite your style? Because I think it's fairly low, you know, given what y'all have accomplished. And I know of Vintage or whatever it was called, it doesn't really
Yeah, that's
Really
Gallup Live's product. I mean, you know, Amy, if you want.
Yeah. Do you think you've seen a lot of, copycat competition, or do you think that might still come?
For sure. I mean, we've been super successful, and so people are seeing that. And, I think we just have to say that even in the same stores that those brands are in, our velocities are going up. It's a fast-growing category, and, we're a leader. We are the leader. So we're not super intimidated by people coming on, but, we think it's growing the category, educating more retailers. And, when put next to each other, we're winning. So, I don't know if there's more coming or not, probably, but again, we just continue to be the leader.
And I think too that the Tetra Pak package is something very unique to us.
Right.
The wine companies have internal capabilities to produce it. We have really, we're producing a ton of Tetra Pak in alcohol. And that is a competitive advantage in and of itself. It's been 7-8 years of building out Tetra Pak supply chain. And we've, now have 3. Yeah, you want to talk about
just optimizing our formulas. We've been doing this the longest. And so I think while we are a 10-night overnight success, a lot of that is work on the operation side to make this a really effective product. Just taste the best, have a good margin so that we can invest in our wholesaler network and marketing and those kinds of things, which is part of the reason why we're the leader.
You have a little built-in moat around the company, it sounds like, with Tetra Pak, because it's not something you can just go to a co-packer and say, hey, I want this in a Tetra Pak and I need 10 truckloads of it. It's just not as easy as that. Is that right?
We've been building out the supply chain this whole time, and if you're a Tetra Pak contract manufacturer, you probably know who we are. We probably had a conversation, and we, there's not an infinite amount of these folks, as you know, and we're doing business with some of the biggest. And so,
yeah, and we've always said, like, from the start, we're like, well, anybody could eventually figure out how to put flavored alcohol in a box. Like, we know that. And so to see it and it to be right on the shelves next to us, and to see our velocities increase when that happens, it's like, it really validates, that connection that we have with our consumers, the brand truly is resonating and meaningful. So maybe that is a moat also, is the brand. But we do still strive to make the best tasting, best.
The consumers don't care about the supply chain network, right? They only care about if it tastes good. So that is the most important thing.
But it is nice to have I kind of get what you're saying, Brad and Amy, because it's a moat, but also having some competitors is good because it conditions the consumer that, hey, it's okay to drink alcohol in a Tetra Pak, which I think is still a little bit of a hump to get over. I think it's more common now, but it's not exactly completely mainstream.
Correct.
Exactly.
And then the other piece too is when you have the biggest wine companies in the world that are going to retailers saying, oh, we're seeing these huge trends in flavored alcohol in Tetra. Well, we're right there alongside saying, we agree. We agree that there's huge trends in flavored alcohol Tetra. So it kind of just broadens the retailers' acceptance that this is a very real category. We are the leader in it, and it's not close. And we will continue to push and get more awareness and more distribution.
One thing I've noticed with BuzzBalls is that there are some private label copycats emerging. And the only reason I say that is because I was in Circle K the other day and there was a BuzzBalls knockoff. And I went and looked at the supplier, and the supplier is a notorious private label kind of. I think it's only in Circle K's. Have y'all seen any kind of competition from store brands yet?
There are flavored, like, it depends how granular you want to get. There are other flavored alcohols in Tetras that have been here, and I think it just really, what you said earlier is, it just, when you want that experience, you're going to look for the leader in that category. And so a lot of times whether it's placed next to us, sometimes we've seen them try to be placed on our shelves. It really, from a consumer perspective, makes ours look more original, more official.
Yeah, the
Better.
real deal.
Yeah.
Do you want to buy Dr.
Ago,
Pepper, or do you want to buy, Dr. Krakow?
Yeah. I mean, think of the seltzer era. Like it was just here. I feel like we've almost forgot it, but remember, how many different seltzers there were, and not a lot of differentiation between them. But to my knowledge, a lot of them, it didn't really work. That concept of just putting out something copycat and putting it next to it.
Yeah, it got saturated, and I don't see that happening in Tetra Pak because of the things we've just talked about. The natural moats and supply chain. I think that's important. And so, with you mentioned, coming out with new flavors. You have a malt version, so this adds complexity, especially for you, Amy, I would imagine.
Yes.
So, well, first, what kind of new innovations are y'all thinking about at the moment that you're coming out with, and where do you see the end of innovation? Will we see BeatBox in another form factor, for instance?
I mean, I think the big one that has been a huge momentum boost for us this year is our variety packs. So no one has ever put Tetra Paks in variety packs. And last year, they were about 6-7% of our total volume. This year, they're trending more towards 15, and it's going to continue to grow. And when we just pulled, like, it was an early look on our red, white, and blue. You can see my Party in the USA background. We had a red, white, and blue variety pack that's got great distribution in Kroger and Walmart and Total Wine. And our early look out of Memorial Day was it was like a top 4 multi-pack in Kroger. And so we're excited to get more distribution. We got a way more ahead of July 4th. Variety packs in large format it's a different shopping occasion, right? You're going into a Total Wine versus a 7-Eleven. You're looking for 2 very different things, or even a Kroger or a Walmart. You're buying for a party, for a barbecue, for a family get together, versus a 7-Eleven. I want my chips and my BeatBox to go play some video games, tonight. So it's very different, and being able to work in both is not for everybody. And we are starting to really see that we can. And you look at the leaders, whether it's Mike's Hard or Twisted Tea. Twisted, I don't know the exact numbers, but it's a majority of their sales in large format are their multi-packs, and it's the majority of their singles are convenience. And they're able to pull both of those levers, and we think we can do the same. So that's a huge one. And then just creating flavors that bring incremental customers into the BeatBox brand family. So like our hard tea, we had a hard tea, 8-9 years ago, because we thought we didn't think of the world in these subsegments back when we were not knowing anything in the industry, dividing things into this tea category or lemonade category. It was just, these are flavors people want. And they're incremental flavors. And so the tea is getting bigger for us. We've got new flavors coming this fall, as well as getting into even more segments of flavor, with the ultimate goal of building this flavor wall destination at retail. So when you go into the store, we're going to guide you to this flavor wall where you can say, oh, I feel like a lemonade today. I feel like a blue raspberry today. It's much more thought. We think of it much more like the energy drink space than what's ever really been done in beverage alcohol before. Because
like Snapple or any of these other kind of big non-alc brands that are famous for flavor.
Yeah.
Right.
Where the consumer's headed, it's led by millennial, it's led by Gen Z, Hispanic, Latino, like these major demographic tailwinds that we think we are perfectly positioned to lead in. And so variety pack's huge. And then just kind of like, not just making a flavor to bring another flavor to the market. That flavor needs to drive incremental consumers to the retailer so that they're making more money and more profit. So that's kind of the North Star now of how we're thinking about the broader innovation strategy.
Which means for us kind of reaching out to other types of flavors. We have a lot of sweet, fruity flavors and they're super popular. We'll continue to do that, but also expanding to more, maybe some more sour flavors, maybe some more tart flavors, maybe some more creamy flavors long term. And so that's what we're looking to do, is build that flavor wall, that flavor destination where anyone can come to the BeatBox brand family and find a flavor that works for them.
Are you
And then-
guys
Flavor
looking
wall.
at like themes at all? You know, like Four Loko does like USA and things like that. Is there going to be an era where you guys move into like beyond
Yeah.
just flavor?
The
Yeah.
fantastical moments. It's so funny. We've really, over the last 6 months, just been really diving into, there's the categories that the industry likes to say. There's Nielsen categories, but that's not what the consumer thinks walking into the store, right? And it's almost like the music analogy. It's like there's always this war to classify, like, is this artist, is he pop or are they country?
Right. Yeah.
And it's like, that's not what people, it just sounds good. And so we're always looking for what are those trends that are going on from like a sensory perspective, or just a way that consumers are thinking about drinking flavored alcohol in general. So
And another area where I would call it innovation, but not, it's on premise. So we think that quick service, we're in 2,100 on premise accounts of the 105,000 total accounts that we're in, right? So it's very, very, very small, but the rate of sale there is really strong. And like we had a test in Buffalo Wild Wings that went extraordinarily well, where they were doing their traditional pint glass, but doing half BeatBox, half Sprite, half BeatBox, half lemonade, and it was flying. And so we are one of the few, I think, in kind of this, call it RTD FMB seltzer, that can really play there, because we're not carbonated, we're very versatile, and we're, very fast in terms of being able to serve it. So that's an area we're going to be investing behind. We just made a new hire in kind of a head of on-premise for California, Nevada, Arizona. So we're going to be really
breaking news. That's like do you have a button?
Yeah, right here. Breaking news.
And then just really, really trying to ramp up household penetration, really investing more behind not just the major music festivals, which we are so happy that we have really planted our flag there. That's what this product was born out of, but the local events, the street festivals, the county fairs, all of these sporting arenas, these moments where people are having so much fun. We hear anecdotally, we do these more localized events and people love it. And 90% of the people are like, I didn't even know this product existed. So reaching so many more people fast, as like eventually you can't double distribution. Like eventually you're in enough accounts and you got enough flavors, and then it's just about how do we bring more people into the brand. So we're kind of transitioning from that, just get more accounts, get more flavors, to how do we optimize the flavors? How do we optimize the product set? And how do we reach more people?
I think it's interesting what you said, Justin, about, and I think this is something that a lot of younger suppliers maybe don't get, is that really you're marketing toward an occasion, not just a flavor preference. And, you have a single serve occasion in C-stores, but you also have, like you said, a barbecue occasion where you're buying for a party and you want a variety pack at Walmart or Total Wine.
Yep.
And that just brings a whole new dimension of demand generation for your brands. Getting back to the variety pack. Now, variety packs, I've heard, are notoriously difficult to produce. Are these variety packs, are they created by machines, or do you have people throwing them into cases?
So a Tetra Pak variety pack machine does not exist.
Okay.
I'm sure at some point we will actually engineer one and create one, but at this point, yes, it's a manual repack, and yeah, to your point, difficult. But we are investing behind making sure it's ready to scale. So that's been our job over the past year or two, is making sure that that's not going to be a problem for retailers, for us.
Yeah, and it's kind of why we slow, we haven't, people are like, well, why don't you go into Costco? Or it's like, we're not ready yet, right? It's like I think a lot of brands too, they get so excited about getting into all these retailers super early. But if you don't know the recipe to drive velocity out of that retailer, there's another 1,000 behind you that are like next, right? So you have to be really careful about how you scale, where you scale. And, as I said, we're just getting into Walmart and Kroger and Total and Walgreens, and Target is going to be a big one for us next year. We're just getting going there. We're a top product there in the 90 test stores. So like we built this brand opposite. We went singles, independent channel. That's not how brands are normally built. And now we need to be very, very measured about how we scale in the biggest retailers in the world, the Walmarts, the Krogers, the Targets, and eventually places like Costco, where we think it's really cool and fulfilling to know that this brand we built can work in all of those different channels in a very cool, authentic way for those particular occasions. But we're going to be measured in it. We're not going to go far beyond our capabilities. But it is exciting that like we can be a top product at a Total Wine and a 7-Eleven, because that is not a normal type of set.
Totally. Geloso did it that way too. They're a singles company, and they're just now trying to get into multi-packs. A lot of people can't make that jump, and it's a tough place to be in. And like you said, you got to be able to supply. If you're going to open a chain and you have out of stocks right out of the gate, it's a no go, right?
Yep.
And then you burn a bridge.
Yeah.
We've really been investing in our ops team, our new supply chain partners. That was really what was keeping me up at night all last year, but we've put to work, and the team has done a great job. We've really made sure that that's not going to be an issue moving forward.
Right.
Yeah, we just produced our first product off the line at our new, Northeast co-packer. So we've got 3 different manufacturers. So that kind of helps us with just-in-time demand, helps with freight, that good stuff. So,
helps us be more carbon efficient,
Yeah. It's a big country with a big mountain range up the middle of it. So yeah, you
exactly.
And this how many units come in a case? Is it 9?
12 units per
12.
case.
Okay.
And I always forget the math, but I think it's like 1.5 times to get a case equivalent.
Okay.
As far as the beer industry thinks of a CE, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, we're addicted to the CE formula. Less and less so, I think, as beer wholesalers branch into other categories like wine and spirits. But boy, yeah, the 2412 equivalent has been the bane, I think, of the existence, especially when they're converting kegs to 2412s. I'm like, why are we doing this? Why does it? It doesn't cost the same to deliver a keg than it does to deliver 11 cases or whatever it is. Anyway, don't get me started. That's a whole
other discussion.
Yeah, I have a question. So we've been hearing a lot of price sensitivity lately. So I'm curious, does this behoove you guys, right? Because you're a higher ABV, obviously having your footprint correct helps you price more competitively. But I'm curious, like, what does that variety pack cost, for example?
Yeah, I think it's a good point. I mean, we've really targeted to be at a $19.99 and kind of the grocery channel. Some retailers are running a little bit leaner at $18.99, but independents or liquor stores are more in the $20.99, $21.99. It is a little bit lower margin for us, and I think for us it's really important to drive people into the brand. It's a different, if they've never heard of BeatBox before, it's the same issue we ran into when we had the 5-liter bags and the 3-liter bags. If you didn't know what it was, you're like, well, can I really drop $20 on this today? What if I don't like it? And so it's something that we are comfortable making a little bit less margin on the variety packs today, knowing the margins will get better as we invest in more efficiencies in producing them. But it's really important that we merchandise them the right way, that the price is right, that we have singles next to them when we can, right? So that if a consumer says, okay, maybe $20, I don't know this product, but I'm going to pick up a single and try it. And we just hired a full-time pricing analyst a couple months ago. So that was, we were looking around the country and like, man, we've got over 300 wholesalers. It's just chaotic to try and manage who's doing what and where and why. BeatBox, we have not taken a price increase since we made the Tetra Paks. And we've been able to maintain a really, really strong margin profile, thanks to all the work Aimy and the operations team have done. But it's something we need to look at of like, where are there opportunities? What is the landscape like? So we've invested in a pricing analyst and eventually probably more of a pricing team.
I think that was another kind of confidence booster was when you saw the knockoffs next to us. sometimes merchandise at $1 less a unit. It didn't change. It didn't move the needle. We found it didn't slow down at all. Our velocities continue to increase. So we never want to be thought of like it's not a cheap product. It is within the flavored section. It's a premium product. And to see that there wasn't that, consumer trading down was really like a good confidence boost. So feel like we could take price a little bit. But that's going to be for the analysts to decide. But it's just it was another little boost there.
It makes it, nobody's going to fault you for taking a less margin on a variety pack because you're selling 12 of them at a time.
Oh, yeah, 6 at a time, 2 for a case. That's always, it's like
Right.
we have to sell 12 singles to sell a case, right? Or versus 2 transactions in a Walmart to sell a case. So it's very different.
And I love the line, you take the dollars to the bank, right? You
take gross profit margin.
And to your point, it's a different occasion. And so it's an incremental occasion for us. So
right, exactly.
I think what we've seen too is the variety pack for everyone. It helps us in our early awareness days. When a variety pack goes out to a party, you're sharing it. There's people there that have never tried BeatBox. So you're getting first-time consumers just by that one person bringing the variety pack. And so
the sampling tool. Yeah.
Millicent has a pool, and I realized last year I didn't go into it once. And so I told her, she's in London right now. So when you get back, we're going to start cranking at that pool every weekend. We're having a party. And so I'm definitely going to go pick up a variety. Millicent loves BeatBox, by the way. She drinks by the gallon. That high ABV, that doesn't bother her.
The best way to do it by the pool is, the night before, throw it in the freezer because it takes a few hours to turn into a slushy, but it never freezes all the way. Then you bring it out to the pool and you kind of let it slush up and the 105 degree Texas heat. And then you've got a nice frozen cherry limeade slushy or fruit punch slushy.
Wow, that is a hot tip. You might even throw them in the pool like little ice cubes.
Yeah,
swim around and drink them.
Did you on your head, as to cool you down?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm there. Biscuit game. You're allowed in the pool now.
I do want to mention too, we are, which I think you all are coming to. We are doing our first ever national convention in August in Houston. Speaking of hot weather and the need of pool.
guys.
But
it's indoor. It's indoor.
We'll have frozen BeatBox there.
The AC will be on point. Yeah.
And we think we just can't believe that we're at a size where we could even comprehend pulling it off. But we've got over 300 RSVPs across our wholesaler network, and it's basically going to be our version of SamCom, right? We're calling it BDC, which is the BeatBox Distributor Conference, based off of the very first music festival that was an inspiration for BeatBox, which is EDC, Electric Daisy Carnival. And it's going to be a couple days of just, again, I think that there's this fork in the road where there is a new world emerging. And it's not just Sazerac and Gallo and the wine and spirits, it's Coca-Cola, it's Monster, it's Pepsi's, it's this whole new world that we really want to get ahead of that. Hey, we want to be thought of as a leader in flavor. Here's how we're thinking about the future and where the consumer's headed. And it's then going to be headlined the next day by Dierks Bentley. So a big concert. Cool. We have to have it be fun. So we're looking forward to that. For any of our wholesaler partners that haven't RSVP'd yet, please hit that button.
Yeah.
And go to the beer summit.
And go to the beer summit. Be a both. That's right. Thanks, Amy.
Should coordinate on like a 2-1 dealer.
And are we going to sit here on this podcast a year from now and y'all are going to be like, we're coming out with non-alcoholic BeatBox?
Look, there isn't anything in innovation that we haven't discussed or thought of.
Right.
It's just a question of like, what does your brand stand for? Where are the biggest opportunities for growth when you're only in, a 28 or 30 ACV in large format? Like, we got a long way to go. And
a lot of the ways we filter our innovation ideas, because we have so many of them, is what is still that incremental golden case, that true partnership product line for our wholesale network. That is the number one filter we use, because it doesn't work unless it all works. It has to be something that works for our wholesaler network to be something that we're going to be pushing out there.
Right. Well, listen, folks, I'd love to keep you on here another 2 hours, but all good things must come to an end. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a party in the box. If you want to have a party in the box, you need to check out BeatBox. I don't know where I was going with that.
That was beautiful.
Yeah, that was really poetic.
Truly appreciate everything that you guys have done. I think I bring this up every time we're together, but I still remember the first coverage you gave us and the flood of distributors that hit us up after. It really put us on an incredible trajectory and gave us that validation. And it's still the first thing I read every day is BBD. So
awesome. I love hearing that. Bread on toilets all over America. All right, guys. Well, thanks for being on, and we'll see you in Houston, and we'll catch you down the road as well at the summit.
See you at the pool parties in San Antonio, Harry. What are you talking?
Yeah.
Cheers, y'all.